Hey guys, how you doing? Marlon, I gotta give it up to you. Nice job on passing your Secret Service super interview. My God, man, I know what you're up against. We both knew that. You know, it took 3 weeks with you and I working together, and I'm just proud of you, man. I really am. And good job on you, buddy. You're closer now. You keep on going, okay? How you doing? Coach Mitch here. Let's talk about the Secret Service super interview and being the toughest. They're not looking for the toughest candidate. They just aren't, you know. So let's talk about these 6 points I want to really make sure you understand as you go through the interview process with this panel here for this super interview, because it's imperative you get this right from the start. Yeah, I know on TV they look really tough and really tough dudes, and I get that. However, at the interview stage, they're not looking for that. So what are they looking for? Well, the panel, first of all, they're judging, number one, aggression is not what they want. They want you to have judgment. They want you to have judgment. People believe that the Secret Service is the person who takes charge in every situation without hesitation. That's just not true. The Secret Service values sound judgment first. You have to be someone who is going to think about a situation, understand it, and then act. They don't want to see you on TV, on YouTube, acting before you're thinking. We see that all the time with other agencies, other LEOs, acting before they think. They don't want that. The panel's going to ask you questions like I do in my program also that will force you to give me a history on you that shows how you think before you act. This is for the UD and the SA. There is no difference there. So they're not looking for somebody who's going to act first. They're looking for somebody who's going to think first. It's very, very important. Now, number two is going to be important for you is that professionalism. It matters much more than intimidation. In my coaching program, I show you this time and time again. Sometimes people think at the interview, you got to come off as this tough guy image. You're in front of 2, 3, or 4 already in action, very professional, very experienced Secret Service agents. So that's not the audience you want to go in front of and try to impress. They're not going to want to hear about that. They don't want to hear about you winning fights, dominating situations, or being the strongest person in the room. That's not Secret Service. If you think about them as being an invisible guardian, then you're going to understand it more. I teach from that platform. This is why my people have a 92.7% pass rate for Secret Service. Now, you got to understand, you're representing the U.S. government at the highest level. Therefore, it's imperative that professionalism, respect, and composure are not just a desire, it's critical. The panel, they're evaluating you whether they can trust you to represent the agency professionally, not whether you can intimidate people. You're not hired on as a bouncer or a frontline law enforcement officer. You are the highest level hire they have, therefore you must represent perfectly, right? Number 3 is restraint. A lot of my clients, when they first come see me, they think that restraint is like an option. It's not. Restraint is a strength. It's a strength. They tell me these stories where they acted alone, taking these unnecessary risks, sometimes even escalating a situation. That isn't a value of Secret Service. The value of Secret Service is to exercise restraint. Knowing when to act can be just as important as knowing when not to act. Those two must be understood. And now, when you come to me with these stories, if you have some ramble type stories, we're going to get rid of those because we're not going to impress 3 or 4 seasoned Secret Service agents at the interview. One of the most dangerous candidates they're going to deal with is a person who believes that every problem needs a heroic solution. You'll be amazed how many times we rewrite a story to just show you being human, who thinks, who's analytical, rather than somebody that wants to jump in there and do some Bruce Lee move, right? They're not looking for that, right? Number 4 for the interviews is going to be communication. It's the communication that wins the interview, right? And so a lot of people think, well, I've got a master's degree here, I'm prior law enforcement, I'm prior military, so that should be enough. It isn't. Yes, they do have your resume there somewhere, but they're probably not going to look at that. They're looking at you to advocate for yourself, to advertise yourself. It's like your own commercial, right? They can only evaluate what you what you communicate, not from your resume. A candidate with average experience, which I've had a lot of those, right? But excellent communication, which we get up to, excellent communication, often outperforms a highly experienced candidate who cannot explain their decisions. So again, most of my clients don't have military experience, don't have law enforcement. However, we make it so in their honest assessments, their honest life, we make their stories so that the Secret Service interview panel understands that this is someone who's used analytical thinking, not acting first, right? Assessing everything, situational awareness, and things of that nature. These are my guys who get by. I've got people who have been dental assistants, bookkeepers. I mean, this is what they're looking for. They don't need Rambo. Rambo can go join one of the SEALs or whatever, right? Those are guys who want to do, get into it first. That's fine. That's great, but not for Secret Service. The experience will get you the interview if you have a military or law enforcement background. However, it's the communication that gets you through the interview. Okay, so this is why I say many times my guys who just have a non-LEO or non-military background many times have a better advantage when they come to me, because I teach them how to be as equal or higher than when they present to the interview panel their experiences, what the panel wants to hear. These guys most of the time can beat a LEO guy or military guy in the same interview situation. It's just facts. Now at this point here, guys, if you want to get into my coaching program for Secret Service Super Interview, get into my click down below in the description, get into my calendar. We can start for you for sure. Don't start too late. Don't come to me on a Wednesday and say I got my interview on Friday. You're just going to hammer yourself, and you're not serious anyway. Anyone who takes 2 days to prep is not going to make it. That's already known, right? If you're serious about this, come to me early. I can help you out early, okay? The strongest answer is often the one where you admit a mistake and then you explain what you learned. So what does that mean? It means maturity, right? There is, in my questions, a question I ask about maturity. I don't say maturity, right? But the question is designed to ferret out if you understand what we're talking about. We're talking about you making a mistake, and then I'm seeing how you learn from the setback, and then I want to see how you demonstrate emotional control. Emotional maturity is paramount as a Secret Service agent, UD or SA, it doesn't matter. An immature applicant will blame the supervisor, the co-workers, circumstances, or bad luck, right? But the mature applicant, when I ask them a question, they're going to have full accountability of their actions, and then we're going to say how we focus on the growth, right? What does that mean? It shows somebody who's human. They did a self-assessment, saw their own weakness, admitted it to the panel here. Yeah, admit to the panel what happened, but then showed the correction as well. Your superhero guys, they never show that. They're just perfect all the way through. They knocked out like 15 guys, and then they got the, whatever they did it all by themselves, and so on and so forth. It's not what they want to hear, guys. This is what my client went through this a few weeks ago. He said that when he was there, he went through the panel, the super interview panel. He felt very good about what he did, his performance, right? Not LEO, not military, but he saw a lot of guys coming out there. He said they have very sad faces. They're big guys and probably military, and he said they had sad faces because he thought that they didn't pass because maybe they're too aggressive. Who knows, right? But don't think that because your resume is chock full of military or LEO, it's an easy slide for you. It's not, guys. I'm a veteran. I know it's myself, right? We do have a good background for this kind of work, but we got to be able to understand what they're asking in the questions, right? Last one here is this. It's always going to be the mission focus over the ego, because the Secret Service operates under a zero-fail mission, right? Applicants who constantly make themselves the hero of the story can unintentionally use ego rather than teamwork. We want teamwork, of course, right? Now, the panel wants candidates who understand that mission comes first, because it is the mission, always the mission first. You're second, the mission's always first. So the best candidates, listen guys, the best candidates don't ask, how do I stand out? They ask, how do I contribute to the mission? That's the question you want to show them in the end, right? I coach military veterans, civilians, and first responders for 7.5 years. The ones who succeed aren't always the toughest. They just are not. They're the candidates who demonstrate judgment, professionalism, emotional maturity, restraint, communication, and mission focus, because that's what the Secret Service is really looking for. It's taken me years to understand this from my coaching program, but now that I have it for the past 7.5 years, I have a 92.7% success rate because I know what to teach. Now, the stories come from you, but the edits and the rework come from me. So it's a very intense program. If you really want this for your career, if you want to be serious about this, get into my description down below, click onto a coaching link, get into my calendar, and I can show you how it's done. But be prepared for some harder work. All right? Take care, Coach Mitch.